Hi there, I'm Lara from 5 out of 4 Patterns, and welcome to part 3 of the Meg Sew Along Dress tutorial sponsored by Sly Fox Fabrics. Today we're assembling the skirt and attaching it to the bodice. Let's jump right in and get started. It's time to complete our skirt. Now I'm doing the more fitted pencil type skirt in the T length. So if you're doing the A line, I'm not going to be doing video of that in those instructions, but they're super easy to follow in the tutorial. So if you're going to do pockets, you need to make sure that you do that. So for my purposes, I'm doing the T-length fitted pencil skirt, so I need to add the kick pleat. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to throw in our sewing school video here for those that need a little bit of extra help, so that you can see exactly how to accomplish this kick pleat. It's super fun and it looks amazing. As you can see, I've got some small versions of the pattern pieces. We've got our kick pleat is here, all right? This is our back seam up in here. And I've picked a fabric that's a little busy, but it's got an obvious front and back side to the fabrics. Okay, what I'm first going to do is just turn my fabric, my skirt panels, wrong side up, not right side up, wrong side up, okay? All right, now, this is recommended. It's recommended that you apply a small piece of lightweight fusible interfacing to the wrong side of the overlap kick pleat side, which right now is on my right. All right, so we'll want it to cross the seam allowance of the skirt by about a ½ inch. So you'll want it to come up this way a little bit. All right, so let's get that pressed down. So we're all good there. All right, now it says fold the hemline on both pieces to the wrong side 1 inch and press. So let's do that. Now on the overlap side, the piece on the right, fold the kick pleat overlap to the wrong side. Now we're gonna fold it, whoopsies, we're gonna fold it to the wrong side along the vertical back seam and press. So we're gonna have a back seam here, whatever the seam allowance is for your project, and we're going to fold it. Like this, and press. Okay. Next step. Take the underlap side. This was the overlap side. This is the underlap side. And we're going to turn it over to the right side so that the right side is facing up. All right? The right side is now facing up. We're going to fold the hem. We already pressed the hem. We're going to fold the hem though to the right side. So we're going to, instead of folding it to the wrong side like we just had, we're going to use that guide that we have from where we pressed it to fold it up. And let me pin it here just to keep it in place. All right, so now we've got it folded where it was pressed. Now, with a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the hem allowance, which is right here, we're going to just stitch right along that hem allowance. All right, let's do that. Okay, so here we are. I've stitched a 1/4 inch seam allowance there up. Now turn it right side out. So we're going to push that in, make sure that corner is out nicely. Fold it back under. And now let's press it. All right, and if you see that it's not out, not quite square enough, just get your finger in there and push it out a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Okay. Now we're going to fold the 1/4 inch seam allowance of the under flap. So we've already got 1/4 inch. We sewed that right under here. So it automatically wants to come in that 1/4 inch. So let's press that in place. Okay. All right. Now we're going to stitch along here. Now you're going to use a zigzag or a stretch stitch. All right, here we are, all finished here. Got another little press. Okay, now let's move our underlap section to the side. Our overlap skirt piece. Okay, so we have our overlap skirt piece here. We're going to fold the same seam allowance in. Okay, so we've got all of our pressed stuff. We're going to fold, just like we did with the underlap, with the overlap, we're going to fold this in about 1/4 inch. And we're going to stitch it with a zigzag or stretch stitch. All right, I'll be right back. All right, here we are. Press that a little bit, make sure it's all nice and smooth. Moving right along. Now it says, you might have to since I pressed that there, you might have to redo your guide where you pressed before, that 1 inch. Okay, and then we came over to here. Just want to keep all those guides, those pressed guides there. Just makes life easier. Okay, let's open that up. Okay, now turn your overlap skirt piece so the right side is facing up. So here we are. All right. Now let's turn our overlap piece so where it's right side up. So we're going to unfold all the places where we just pressed, and we're going to turn it right side up. Here we are. Now fold the overlap kick pleat back on itself so that right sides are together along the seam line where we pressed. So here's our seam line. So we're going to find that seam line and use that as a guide, just like this. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pin this in place just so it's there. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm going to pin it in place up here too, just to keep things stable. All right, never be ashamed to use pins. Now, so now that it's all right sides together, we're going to sew. We're going to sew along this hem fold line of the overlap kick pleat with a stretch stitch. Now, you're going to trim the seam allowance of the kick pleat hem, and then we're going to turn it right side out. So, let's go do that. Okay, so here we are. you can see I've stitched along here. Now, when you trim it, it says to trim it just at the kick pleat hem, so not all the way across the entire skirt. So let's trim it off just a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to turn it right side out. And here we are. This is what it looks like right side out. Let's press it. So the beauty of doing it this way is you have these nice clean edges. It's really pretty on both sides of the overlap, both of the overlap and the underlap. Now it says match the skirt pieces right sides together. So let's pull this back this way and let's pull this this way. Okay. So you can see when we put them right sides together, you've got to pull this a little bit. You've got this is the back seam of your skirt, and this is the top of the kick pleat. Now that we've matched our skirts right sides together, starting about 3 inches up from the kick pleat, 3 inches up from the kick pleat, we're going to sew down the back seam all the way till we get to this point. We're going to pivot and we're going to sew across there as well. So it says unfold back skirt pieces so wrong side is face up. Press the kick pleat right along the seam line. Now we're going to clip this pivot point. Don't go through the stitching, just go up to it. Okay, that just gives freedom of motion there, and you do need that. Right. Now that we've clipped this pivot point, that gives our seam allowance of the skirt itself the ability to be opened and pressed open, which is what you want. Okay, very nice. Now we're going to turn it right side up, and we are going to then match this up here. Top stitch. It's time to top stitch. Get it all straightened out. Now I will pin this because I just like things to be as stable as they possibly can. And if you're using slippery fabric of any kind, it just feels better to have it pinned. Okay, so here we are. We're going to top stitch, this diagonal seam, which you can feel here. It's this right here. We're going to top stitch a diagonal seam. Now we're going to sew through all 3 layers. The main fabric, which is out here, the overlap fabric, which we've worked with, which is this part right here, and the underlap. All right, so now we're going to top stitch a diagonal seam here. Okay, make sure everything is laying flat. Now you're just going to feel for where it's very obvious. We've done our diagonal top stitch seam there. It looks so nice. And so you've got your kick pleat, and it's just a lovely finished look. All right, now we're ready to sew our side seams. We're We're going to place our front skirt piece and our back skirt pieces right sides together, and we're going to line up those side seams, and then we're going to stitch with a stretch stitch or a serger or even a zigzag down the side seams of our skirt. Now you can hem here if you like, but as you can see, I waited until the end to hem. Now we're going to attach the bodice to the skirt. So we're going to quarter and pin our bodice and skirt, and we're also going to pin the darts because we want them to line up. We're going to place the bodice and the skirt so that they are right sides together. Match up the side seams and match up the darts. Sew with a stretch stitch or serger. Make sure during this part that you have pulled your lining out of the way. I forgot to say that, but your lining it does not get attached to the skirt at this time. So you're just going to pull that lining out of the way and make sure you're just attaching it to the main bodice. Our dress is coming along swimmingly. I love this dress. You're at a point where you can try it on a little bit and see how it looks. It is a beautiful dress. I'm excited about the whole thing, and I hope that you will join us tomorrow for part 4.